500 million years of geological processes have produced within the Lake District a stunning landscape of mountains and lakes of great scenic beauty. It's the largest national park in England and Wales and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Many of the geographical features in the Lake District are the result of periods of glaciation, the most recent of which ended only 15,000 years ago. Retreating glaciers carved out the huge, smooth, U-shaped valleys, steep, sharp ridges, and impressive lakes which characterize this landscape. It has England's highest mountain and deepest and longest lake. It is covered with forests and farms, tiny quaint villages and pretty little towns. It's famous for its lakes, mountains, classic food, tea and cake, really good ice cream, and sheep on the road. Because there are a lot of sheep, a lot of them. Farming, and in particular sheep farming, has been the major industry in the region since Roman times and lends it that iconic look. Features such as dry stone walls are there as a result of sheep farming. Forestry is also of great importance, and also it just looks really, really nice. When my mother was just a few weeks old, my grandparents bought a holiday house in the little valley and came for weekends and holidays until they retired here. We would come up to visit them every school holiday for weeks at a time, and at Christmas the whole family stayed together. All of my aunties, all of my cousins. Yes, that's a lot of cousins. And a lot of presents. The Lake District seemed like a magical dream place to me, and every time we left I could hardly believe it was real. I loved it so much. It's been a very popular area for a long time, however, since the end of the 18th century. In 1778, Thomas West produced A Guide to the Lakes, which began the era of modern tourism. William Wordsworth published his Guide to the Lakes in 1810, now called A Guide Through the District of the Lakes in the North of England, which is an unnecessarily long title. This book was particularly influential in popularising the region. This year we've come up with various family members, including our little baby nephew, and we're staying near Ambleside, which is at the very tip of Windermere. Due to those repeated glaciations we mentioned earlier, most of the U-shaped valleys contain elongate lakes, occupying sizable bedrock hollows, often with tracts of relatively flat ground at their heads, which is where you'll find little towns. Smaller lakes, such as tarns, can be found at higher elevations. It's the abundance of both which has led to the area becoming known as the Lake District. The UK's largest conservation organisation, the National Trust, started here in 1895. Previously, conservation had only cared about the land, but now houses were cared for too. The National Trust owns about a quarter of the total area of the Lake District, including some lakes and land of significant landscape value. The house we're staying in, Skakel Woods, which is not an easy thing to spell, and I may be saying it incorrectly, is a house of significant beauty. Built in 1899 in the arts and crafts style, it has many original features. Hello darling, so we have arrived. at our destination, and we're staying in the most wonderful, beautiful little house, even though I did think that we were almost going to destroy the car on the way up here from Ambleside. That was one hell of a path, I must say. Let's go! I'm going to show you around the house. So as you can tell, the house is incredibly old, and this is its original porchway. The one that we just came in through is modern, and it has, look at these doors. Absolutely stunning, and everything in this hall is lovely and wood panelled. And through here we have the living room. Let me show you. So in this fireplace, we're going to hopefully light a fire tonight and sit around and chat, read our books or something. I'm really into my latest Philip Gregory. But the living room continues on. In here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 sofas in here, and another window seat here. I think this is my favourite little seat in the whole house. We're out of the living room, into the main hallway. Through here is the kitchen, dining room and kitchen. Here is the games room, and this is our bedroom. Gorgeous. I think it's a sleigh bed, right? It's a sleigh bed. It tilts this way. I think if it tilts that way, it's a sleigh bed. Got my clothes already in there. Floor length mirror. Hi me. This is where I'm going to do my makeup. Window seat which looks out into the garden. And this extra bed. And this extra bed, which is now the equipment bed. Back in the three-way hall section part again. Forwards. This is the dining room. And then from the dining room into the kitchen. Back in the hallway, with those beautiful doors. Now we're going up the stairs. And there are even more bedrooms around this corner. Look an air hostess. Really? The room that we're about to enter is most definitely my favourite. This bed is so gorgeous. It has a beautiful canopy. Oh, who doesn't want a 4-poster bed? The funny thing is though, the last time we stayed in the lakes, we stayed in this beautiful little cottage and it was so perfect and it had everything that we needed. And the dogs really loved it and it had a garden that was really safe for them to play in. So they really enjoyed it and they had a great time. And I loved it, but there was about, like, it was a bit small and it was a bit blah, blah, blah. The place that we're staying now, ridiculously stunning. Clearly, there's always a but. Because we were going around all the different bedrooms and I was like, that's not quite right for this and this one isn't quite right because of this. And I realised that the but is that it's not the cottage. It's lovely, but it's not the cottage. It's not my home. And that made me feel wistful to realise that, I suppose. You know, I've been coming here almost for 30 years now. For all of my life. I've been coming here all of my life and things change, the little shops change, but the cottage never changed. And it's always fixed in my memory. And it doesn't matter because every time we come up to the Lake District, I'm always picturing it in my mind and I'm always picturing that that's where we're going. And maybe because we moved when I was little, but it was the one constant building in my life. But I hope someday that I have that feeling with another building, with a building that I can actually go to very regularly. Part of the joy of the Lake District is that it allows for a holiday of whatever type you choose, from active hiking and exercise to quiet retreats.
Little bicep. Walking bicep.
They have such huge muscles.
Whether you like climbing mountains or wandering through old villages, there's surely something to do. Even if you're not much of a walker but still enjoy a stroll in nature, there are several very easy walks that could be done with a buggy, which is essentially a glorified Zimmer frame. All of this beauty is very inspirational, of course, and many famous poems, writings and paintings have been inspired by the Lakeland. William Wordsworth's poem, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, inspired by the sight of daffodils on the shores of Ullswater, remains one of the most famous in the English language. Other famous creatives inspired by the Lake District include Samuel Coleridge, Arthur Ransome, John Ruskin, J.M.W. Turner, L.S. Lowry, and, of course, Beatrix Potter. So a thing happened. We were so really careful all the time we were in the Lake District, and Claude put my special walking boots on whenever we were going over anything in any way bumpy.
Yeah, to like support your ankles and, you know, like ready for all terrain, absorb all the like different sort of stones and cobbles you might be walking over.
Put them on me. I can't put them on myself.
And we took a lot of consideration on whether she could do certain walks that my family were going to be doing or not doing. So for instance, like for my sister's birthday, we had the planned walk, like a 3.5 mile walk to a pub, which I think is like lovely. So I was like, I really want to do that, yay, deserving of my pint and so on. But we were like thinking, should we do that? Should we not do that? And we thought, you could probably do it one way, but not both ways. Even one way.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure who thought I could do
basically,
one way.
I was comparing it to walking around shopping malls in Malaysia. I was like, it would be a bit like walking around the shopping mall all day. We decided to drop Jessica off at the pub first via a car, then we walked to meet her, and then you got a taxi home with my dad.
Yeah.
And
there was no walking for me.
No, so we were really careful the whole time. We considered what Jessica could and couldn't do. And then we got home. Jessica kindly was helping me with bags and unpacking out the car.
And then I twisted my ankle on the pavement outside our own house.
Yeah, literally 2 metres from our front door. So it's like I went to this really rough outdoors terrain up north. Walking boots, poles.
It's a difficult pavement.
We had all the gear. Took our first aid kit. It's kind of like, that's always the way, isn't it? Yeah,
I'm prepared. It just sucks because we were so careful in the Lake District.
Yeah, when we were on our walk, my sister was like, it's a shame Jessica couldn't come with us. I was like, yeah, but you know, this really would have been way too hard for her. Like, even us considering her going one way was not suitable. I'm so glad that we decided, look, you're disabled. You're not going to go on this 3.5 mile walk. And Julia was like, yeah, I forget about her disabilities because she's like so well at sort of, they're so hidden a lot of the time, aren't they? And I was like, yeah, but you know, she is blind in one eye, so she has no depth perception, so she doesn't really know where she's placing her foot. She can't actually have sensory feedback of where she's placing her feet because of her nerve condition. And then on top of that, she has like a left foot drop. So, like, you know, kind of drags that one along a bit. And, oh yeah, and she's deaf, so her balance is all completely offset. And, like, you know, even if she gets her foot in the right place, she's probably going to fall over for no apparent reason. And then my sister was just like, oh yeah, she's really, like, disabled. I was like, yeah. That's why we need to remind ourselves that you can't just go on a 3.5 mile walk just because everyone else is. And I get a little bit like, I wish you could come to the gym with me.
Does not go to the gym. It's all a lie.
But I wish I was one of those fitness freaks.
It's never going to happen. I'm not the one stopping you.
You are? I signed up to a yoga class tonight and you made me cancel it because you said I'd be too tired.
How do you feel right now?
Yeah, I'm kind of glad I'm not. Very happy just sipping my tea, actually. Know your limitations.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to enjoy yourself to the fullest.
Communicate them to others around you. And watch out! Thank you for watching our second scrapbook video. We're going to try and make more of them.
They're really fun to make.
Do you know when next month's is?
Oh. LA.
Yeah. VidCon. We're going to VidCon.
Yeah, it's mainly going to be just on VidCon because we won't have time to see much of LA.
So we'll see you next video. Mwah.